been out of the loop for a few days, and I do mean out of the loop. So I had surgery last week. Week before last. It's been last week, Thursday was 1 week. Pretty substantial surgery, so I'm going through a pretty long, drawn-out period of convalescence. And you're going to see me looking over to the right quite a bit this morning because I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with it. The broadcasting software that I normally use just took an update, and that update apparently just completely disabled the software, so I can't even open it. I did, however, get the Black Friday deal on Restream via our buddy Alex. He turned me onto it, and I was a little too late, technically, and they still honored the deal, so that's fantastic. But basically, I don't have my normal software available, so I'm kind of looking over to the right here to see how the Restream is working. And I don't have any control. I'll be able to use my normal broadcasting software through the Restream software, and it'll look right again, right? It'll all be tightened up the way that it's supposed to be. I don't have nearly as much control over the shape of the frame and the audio. Like I've got no control over the audio here. And as you may have noticed, I didn't run an intro this morning because that's in the other broadcasting software. I'm just running through Restream. I'm not going to be on for long this morning. Like I said, I'm going through a pretty substantial convalescence. But I got Butch Henson likes the video. Thanks for tuning in there, Butch. I hope you hang around. If you haven't already, check us out on YouTube and give us a like and a share and a subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, please follow us there as well. I'm also streaming this morning, and this will be the standard going forward as soon as we get it all sorted out. We are currently streaming to Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Daily Motion. Do this quick little checky check. I'm gonna this is a chat message. I just want to see, it's supposed to go out to everywhere. It looks like it went everywhere but Facebook. Okay, there it is on Facebook. Cool. So y'all should be seeing, basically, if I chat in this, I should be chatting to everywhere. And if you chat anywhere, it should be coming back to me on this one panel. So that's going to be worth the price of admission by itself once we get the other broadcasting software sorted back out. So a little housekeeping this morning. Okay. Butch says I did a live feed at our Veterans Day program in Conyers. Yes. I was there. I showed up to their Veterans Day event. They had a couple of very good speakers who came and talked about their father's accomplishments. Not to belittle the value of either of the speakers, but they were both there to speak about their fathers, who were guys. That stream is on Facebook at thebrushfiremind.com, and I highly encourage you to go and watch it. Fascinating stories about absolutely compelling veterans. I mean, legitimate war heroes that we're talking about here. Go check that out if you get a chance. Butch, thanks for tuning in and watching this morning. I see Krista has joined us. Yay. That's fantastic. Good to see you, sweetheart. Thanks for stopping by yesterday. It was, I've been stuck in the house for weeks now. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about the news today. There is some news to talk about. Bill Barr has exited stage left. The vaccine is out. We'll get back into news stuff tomorrow. This morning, I'm going to tell you a little story. In fact, Butch, I'm glad you joined us because I'm going to be telling a story about an experience at the Veterans Hospital yesterday. So I had my procedure at the Atlanta VA Medical Clinic, and I've actually had several surgeries at the Atlanta VA Medical Clinic, and I've had a pretty good experience with all of the surgeries. The two biggest ones. Hey, Tim's with us. Hell yeah. Well, Tim says he's at work, so he's watching what he can. Brother, it's just me in front of the camera talking, so you might as well just listen. I'm not going to show you anything especially interesting. I'm sure as hell not going to show you my surgical site. So, like right now, I'm sitting down, but carefully, very, very carefully. So, I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail on the surgery itself. I will go so far as to say I had a cyst at my lower back, and I had that removed. What they removed was a piece of material roughly the size of a 40 millimeter high explosive grenade. For the rest of you out there, that's slightly smaller than a 12-ounce soda can or beer can, right? So, and the surgeon is of the opinion, and as I'm recovering, it appears that he is correct, that the best method is to leave the wound open and pack it so that it heals from the inside out instead of closing the wound and risking air pockets to encourage recurrent infection. So it's really hard for me to sit down anywhere right now. Like as I'm sitting now, I'm sitting in a very expensive office drafting chair that I had to pay extra money for to get one that could support my big fat butt. Now I'm in the 300 plus club, and if you've ever tried to buy equipment that is rated for a larger person, it stops at 250 pounds and it picks back up in the 500 to 600 pound range. And there's nothing in between. You don't buy a chair that's rated for a 350 or 400 pound person. No, this chair will support a quarter ton of fat ass. I don't need that much, but I'll take it. And largely because I had a cheaper chair before that was rated for 250. I was at 300 at the time. That chair lasted me about 2 years before it fell apart. Well, which is all to say, I'm kind of limited in the places that I can rest my posterior at the moment. So I had my follow-up appointment at the VA yesterday. It went about as well as could be expected at the top end. You know, they got to, it was only 20 minutes after my appointment time that they got to me. That's a record. Normally, if I have an appointment at the VA, I'm sitting in the waiting room for an hour and a half after the appointment time, which is not, if I'm being fair, that's not necessarily a jab at the VA itself, because the fact of the matter is doctors generally use administrative staff who they use block scheduling. They go out of their way to make sure that you spend extra time in the waiting room to artificially inflate your perception of the value of the doctor's time. When the real fact of the matter is they don't respect your time enough to keep an appointment. Personally, if I go see a private doctor and I spend more than 15 minutes in the waiting room, I write them an invoice and I expect that invoice to be paid. My time has value. And you should not be stealing my time. And I won't let you. I'll write you an invoice. So that all went well enough. Once I got my vitals, and hey, big win. I'm down to 328 pounds. For those of you that know me, that's an achievement. I'm a big boy. So yeah, lost some weight. That's solid. But and once the surgeon got me in to examine the site, we had a good chuckle. I cracked a couple of jokes at my own expense and at his, and we laughed our way through. And I sat and watched him enter the information into the computer for a follow-up appointment and for the prescription materials that I need to pick up, wound care materials, gauze, tape, padding, saline solution, that kind of stuff. By the way, Steve, Qualcomm me here. How's my audio coming through? I'm streaming through Restream right now. I'm not using the OBS, so I don't have any control over the audio right now. And I don't have a monitor option here except to just leave me a comment. Let me know how the audio is doing for me, Steve. Appreciate you, brother. Anyway, so I get done with that. Because of the nature of the surgery, I'm not real happy about the idea of walking long distances. And if you've never been there, if you've never seen it, the Atlanta VA Medical Center is a large building. It is a large building. Now, thankfully, everything was on one floor, but they tell me you need to go to the pharmacy to pick up your replacement supplies, your refill supplies. Okay, cool. So I walk out of the surgical clinic and I walk to the pharmacy, which is not quite, but very nearly on the other side of the building. If you're in pain while you're walking, it's a long damn walk. And I get over there only to see that there's a big sign that says temporarily closed, temporarily relocated to the VLC, which is the Veterans Learning Center, which I just know because I've spent enough time at the VA, happens to be right across the hall from the surgical clinic that I had just left. So I walked my happy butt all the way back over there. And then I get over there and I'm told that I need to get in this line. Oh, wait, no, it's this line. Oh, wait, no, you actually need to be in this line. Oh, sir, can you go and sit in the cafeteria? And I said, no. No, I will not go. I will not walk to the other side of the building and sit down in the cafeteria. I can't. Right? And I tried to be very polite, very cordial about that. I'm like, no, I can't sit down. And eventually, I actually pulled out my phone and started showing these people, these attendants, who we will henceforth refer to as the redcoats. They all wear these maroon vests. They're supposed to have this kind of concierge thing going on. So the redcoats. I finally just whipped out my phone where I have pictures of the surgical site. Because of its location, I can't see it. So I've been taking pictures of it, day by day, so that I can see and monitor the progress, and so that I can use those pictures. So that I could use those pictures when I talk to the doctor and say, "Hey, these are the concerns I have," and that all went very well. But then, like, sir, can we get you a chair so you sit down? Like, and I held up the picture. So I finally get up to the pharmacy window. This is an hour and change after I've left my doctor's appointment, and this is where it all went wrong. So let me just reiterate that real quick. I arrive at the pharmacy window. Like I said, this is an hour and a half after this whole adventure began. I'm finally getting to the pharmacy window. And they tell me not, your prescription's not ready yet. No. They tell me there's no prescription that has been entered for you. Now, I watched the doctor. I've seen this procedure, I don't know how many times. Watch the doctor input the prescription and everything into the computer. Right? I know he put it in there. I watched him do it. And on many, many other occasions, I've seen my prescription put into a computer by the doctor and then gone to pick up my prescription at the pharmacy with no problems whatsoever. So part of the problem here is they have this big, complex, convoluted system. Or no, that's not even adequately correct. Part of the problem is they have multiple complex, convoluted systems to get the prescriptions into the pharmacy, right? So there's a system for the doctor to input it from the computer in his office. There's a system for a veteran to go online and use the My Health eVet to order their prescriptions for pickup or for delivery refill. There's a phone option. There's a postcard option. So there's all these different methods. So if you use one of these to try and get your prescription into the system and it doesn't go in perfectly, here's the next place that the problem happens. These assholes that work behind the glass at the VA have the unmitigated temerity to treat the veteran. And I'm not just complaining on my own behalf. I watched this happen because I was there for a long time. I was there for several hours yesterday. I walked into the building at about a quarter to 0900 and left around 2. That was the breadth of this adventure. Left around 2, right? It's nearly an hour drive from there to my house, by the by. So Steve, what I'm saying is government should control no aspects of anything. That's a whole nother conversation that we're going to get to about starving the bastards. Little teaser, after sometime beginning of the year, after the first of the year, I will be officially declaring a political holodomor. So get ready for that. So the people behind the glass then have the unmitigated temerity to speak to the veterans like we're the assholes, like we screwed it up, like we're the dummies, right? And they're belligerent and rude and demeaning and condescending. I saw one guy. There was one cat. He was black. He was older. I don't want to sound cruel. I'm not trying to be cruel to the guy, but I'm almost certain he was homeless. Right? He was rough dressed, rough shod, unwashed. You could smell him. And it sounded like he had borrowed somebody's cell phone to call in a prescription. And they treated him like utter crap, utter garbage. And then there was a younger white female veteran in front of me at the second window who apparently hadn't entered her prescription in the system correctly. And they treated her exactly the same, like unwashed garb. They treated her like she was the problem, right? So it's not even a racial thing there. It's just the people working there, they don't like you. They hold you in contempt. They think that you're beneath them. And by the way, if any of you knows a person who works in any VA anywhere in the country, send them this video. Send them here to watch this video and hear this conversation. Well, Steve, the Holodomor was specifically a sort of cleansing where the extermination of the populace was done through an intentional tactical starvation. And yes, what I mean is a financial political Holodomor. We will be targeting a large number of specific entities through social media campaigns and intentionally trying to get people to stop giving them money. And it won't be all the ones that you might think it might be. Obviously, Planned Parenthood's at the top of that list, but the NRA may not be safe from my ire at this point either. So, well, I got you. Lindsay's complaining that I'm wearing sleeves. Okay. 9 times out of 10, I'm in a tank top or an Aloha shirt. Fair enough. But I'm recovering. Just let me love me some. Lindsay. Love. So, I'm at the counter and they tell me that my prescription hasn't even been entered. And if this story feels like it's taking a long time to tell, imagine going through this experience unable to sit on anything. I was standing and being berated and insulted and assaulted by VA staff for the better part of 5 hours yesterday. And right in the middle of it, so I'm at the window and they tell me that my prescription hasn't been filled. And I know that I was clearly agitated, but guys, look, my father told me something when I was younger. And it has stuck by me my whole life, and I have made it a point my whole life to very carefully keep it in mind. He explained to me that I should never make a physical threat against anybody. Me in particular, not that a person shouldn't because it's wrong to do, but this was a heart to heart with my old man. And he told me, you, Christopher, should never make a physical threat against anybody because the very fact of you is a threat. And that's true. I'm 6.5 feet tall. I'm broad shouldered, barrel chested, and you're looking at me. I can be a scary dude. Now, those of you that know me, I'm a damn teddy bear. You know that. And I haven't killed anybody in 10 years. This April, upcoming April. So I'm a teddy bear. I'm a sweetheart. I haven't even been in a real fight in 10 years. April. But I'm loving the comments, guys, but I'm going to ignore you for a minute. So and push forward. So I understand that I have to be very careful. If I lose my temper in a public setting, people are going to get real nervous. The idea that you're going to send 6 average men over to try and intimidate me or corral me in some situation, that's not a tactically sound option. I'm not the one you want for that. But that's what happened. All of a sudden, a half a dozen or better of these redcoats come swarming up on me and telling me I need to X, Y, and Z. I need to stand over here. I need to go over there. I need to sit in this corner. I need to hear. And I turn around and say, no, whoa, hold on a minute. We have a problem right here at this window. And if we can figure out what that problem is, then I can get my problem solved and I can leave. I have a wound for which I need wound care material, and I cannot leave this building without it. That is not an option. Right now, this exchange went on for some time, but they called the police. They got the cops over. And it was this tiny little black female officer who was as sweet as she could be. And I'm going to have to do a whole conversation about my feelings on female uniformed officers and female uniformed military. But let me say this about that. There is one argument that because one might expect a gentleman not to strike a lady, that there is tactical value in sending a pretty little lady over as an authority figure in uniform to try and de-escalate a situation with a large, scary man like myself. And to anyone who supports that position, I say, how dare you place the safety of that lady at risk by gambling on the genteel nature of a potential suspect or perpetrator. Right? If you have a legitimate concern that you're approaching a threat, that she will be approaching a threat, and you send a small woman over to talk to a giant man as an authority figure that's going to engage and risk becoming involved in a physical altercation, I'm not going to hit a cop. I'm not going to hit a lady, right? Unless it's a question of my actual safety, right? Or one of the kids or the wife, right? Now, where my family's concerned, you start talking about blood on the line, and all lives are forfeit. I will orphan your planet, and I won't bat an eye at that. As soon as there's blood on the line, that's it. Nobody survives that. But arguing over where I'm allowed to stand or sit with a gaping surgical wound. That's not the hill that I'm going to kill you on. To be clear, there are no hills on which I will die, but I will pile the bodies upon them. You want to argue about, you want to have an argument about whether or not we should be killing babies in the womb? Come to me for the Battle of the Bastards. We'll have that talk. We'll have that fight. So, after that, an hour and a half or 2 hours elapsed before they finally got. No, I'm sorry. Back up. I'll back up a little bit. After that, they kind of corralled me into a corner, and I told the cop, I said, you know what? Look, I'm going to walk away from you. I'm going to walk outside and smoke a cigarette. And then I'm going to calm down. I'm going to get my head back under control. And I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to investigate where you failed. I'm going to find out where it is that you failed so that I can correct your failures. I'll be back in 10 minutes. And sir, it's a non-smoking campus. I want you to take a real hard think about what you're doing right now. I'm going to walk out that door and I'm going to go smoke somewhere. And I'll be back in 10 minutes. And that's what I did. So I get back out there. Yeah, this story. Couldn't sit down. No. My legs are still shaking. Because it's not like I'm perfectly healthy and ready to rock and roll. Yeah. This isn't like one of my film sets where I don't have a gaping hole in my lower abdomen and I'm standing on my feet all day. No. This is fat man with an open wound on his feet for 5 or 6 hours, exhausted and infuriated. Go out, I smoke. I tell Dad, who's waiting in the parking lot because he drove, because I can't. Not right now. Not for probably another 2 weeks. What was going on? And he's all right, boy. I'll be here. I appreciate you, brother. So I go back in, and they tell me that the doctor still hasn't put in the prescription. So I go back into the office, and he shows me the computer. No, I put it in. So we had another doctor put it in to a different computer. And I go back. It takes another hour and a half for them to actually gather the materials, for them to actually get the prescription from the pharmacy and up to the main window. God, no. Before that, they bring me an order fill and they hand it to me, and it's just a grocery bag of rolls of surgical gauze. That's it. No tape, no ABS pads, no saline, nothing. It's probably the thing that I needed least from the whole setup, because I've actually still got plenty of that from my original prescription filling. Everything else had to be replaced. And then it goes on and on again like that. And then I finally get a big bag of goodies from them again. And this time it's everything but the tape. No tape, no surgical tape to hold the surgical bandage in place over the surgical wound. And so I said, okay, unfuck this while I go put the rest of this in the truck, and I'll be back. So I go outside and I smoke another cigarette because, oh my God. And then I finally get, and I go back in and they bring out the tape. They brought me the wrong tape. And I said, you know what? My patience is a hole that can be filled with money. I'll buy my own fucking tape. That was the end of the day. Now, before they even actually got my prescription filled, I did call for the patient advocate. And 2 people came down, and I'm not sure which was which, but one of them's the patient advocate and one of them's somehow the manager over all the redcoats or something like that. And before they got there, I just walked around to everybody that that was close enough to have been a part of the problem. And I made them write their name down on a sheet of paper. And the patient advocate gets down, and I hand her, and I told her the story that I've just told you with a great deal of abbreviation. I mean, you're here to enjoy the show that I'm producing, so I'm giving you extra details and story. These people I made it a point to get them the important, pertinent details, which included pointing to one dude and saying, and you need to watch that fucking snake over there, because I asked him 3 or 4 times to write his name down, and he kept trying to dodge me. And he wrote this number down. Whatever that is, that's him. That's that guy. And guys, hey, guess what? There's security footage. There's 3 cameras that can see everything happening. If you want to dispute my claims, pull that footage. Right? But I am not so upset about this situation that I'm going to run a FOIA request to get that security footage. I thought about it. It's not something that I want to give any more time to after having told this story here. And as you've noticed, I haven't mentioned anybody's names here. Right? Not even my surgeon's name. And I've got nothing but good things to say about him. He did a fantastic job setting melon ballers to shock and awe, but he did good work. And good guy, funny guy. He and I had a good conversation. I could drink a beer with the doctor. So, no, Lindsay, I'm not doxing. And I'm not doxing because doxing is always murder. Every time someone commits doxing, what they're doing is they are attempting to commit murder. So, like, for example, I don't mind using some of your full names because you've gone so far as to list them in your usernames. Meh, that's your prerogative, kiddos, and I love you. I love you, love you, love you. So, that's kind of where that story ends, I guess. Other than the miserable ride home, where we managed to dodge 0 potholes, despite the old man's best efforts. Dad, I know you were trying to dodge the potholes. I'm just kind of joshing about it, but good God, did it seem like we hit every nook and cranny that I could sense with my new seventh sense. So, I hope you've enjoyed the show this morning. It's a little different than the content we usually do. Just kind of a personal story about the VA and what a grotesque failure everything that has ever been controlled by the government has ever been. I challenge you to leave a comment in the description below that refers to a time that the government did a thing that does not include the government stopping itself from doing a thing that it's already been doing that did not end in disaster. And I wish you the best of luck with that. Other than that, y'all be safe. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. And I will see you tomorrow, hopefully with the whole open broadcast system set up reconfigured. And y'all be safe out there.